It's Cliff in the Fun Country Morning Show. Time for Lauren Rich of Rich Consulting to join me this morning. Another episode. We need to really name this something besides Lauren Rich, because you're so full of, well, information, okay?
So full of it?
No, information that helps people. We have a physical well-being, but we also have emotional and mental well-being, and that emotional and mental, obviously, kind of the same thing. I know it can be affected with your body, but at the same time, going through a rough patch, it's hard, and that's what you do every day is help people with that kind of stuff. And today I know you wanted to talk about the loneliness of divorce.
Yeah, had a couple of folks in my office this week who, that's the main issue that we're dealing with, and seems to be the number one reported symptom or issue that folks have.
Loneliness?
Yeah.
Loneliness can make you do some bad things, though, too, right?
It can, and
it always did me.
Divorce and ending major relationships like that can always bring a lot of grief or depression. It's just a huge change to not be married anymore. It's a huge change not to have that person around.
Yeah, because you're connected with them, whether
yes.
it's good or bad. You're still connected to them.
Lots of things, lots of things have changed in that one decision, and then if you put raising kids on top of it, it gets even more stressful. But one of the things that we talk about a lot is post-divorce, living with the loneliness. Are we okay with being there for a while, or are we scrambling to meet that emotional need, so to speak?
Right.
We all have emotional needs. They all get met in certain ways, but when you've gotten divorced and you're just really trying to make that hurt go away, sometimes we end up being in the same relationship all over again shortly after we're divorced.
With someone else.
With a different flavor, different package.
Right, the same thing.
It's the exact
or
same
it
thing.
could even be worse because
oh my,
to fill that lonely void, sometimes you'll force a square peg into a round hole.
Very good.
It doesn't fit long term. You may be able to wedge it down in there for a while.
And again, all we're trying to do is to make that discomfort go away. All we're trying to do is to make ourselves feel better. But ultimately, our present day decisions in loneliness will have a long-term impact.
Mm-hmm. And usually it's the dump-ee that feels worse than the dump-er because of loneliness, because probably in a lot of cases they didn't even want the divorce or want to be apart from this person. And that, to me, is if you're the other and you've already filling your life up with other stuff.
If you're not the one who left.
Right, and you're moving on, that is a little easier. But I do believe that over time that will still catch up with you. If you're really connected with that person and you have a real relationship, you can throw up a bunch of roadblocks, a bunch of things to get your mind off of it and actually not deal with it by dealing with other people,
and
having
really that's
fun.
just avoidance.
It is avoidance.
That's all that is.
But you still got to pay the piper, and you got to deal with it sooner or later.
Some people will say, well, we both agreed to it. You may have both agreed to it, but that doesn't make it any less lonely or any easier in the long run. And
divorce
thinking
is
about
tough,
that,
and there's so much of it.
It really is. I have a lot of people who come in and they say, I guess I've really been divorced for years. We were married for 25, and the last 7, I felt like I was living with a roommate and not a spouse.
Right.
And so then you actually make it formal and legal, and, other people are surprised by how quickly you can date. Well, if you felt lonely for 7 years,
yeah, of course, or even months,
then it's completely understandable why you would want to move on right away.
Because you've already moved on.
Well, the grief and loss has already been there for so long.
Right.
Yeah, your brain has processed a lot of that. I
So-
do have to. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so how do you deal with it, the loneliness? Because I think, am I wrong in the thought that the loneliness, if not handled correctly, can cause you to make really bad decisions and make your life much worse than it was just being lonely?
Yes. Fill your time with positive things. Fill your time with positive people. That means get a new hobby, join a gym, do yoga, go see friends in other locations. If you have friends that live in Colorado or California, North Carolina, whatever, take small, short trips if you can to see them. We don't have to fill the loneliness, quote unquote, or so to speak, with other people or relationships in a romantic sense.
Right.
We can do that with companionship that is not necessarily romantic, and we can do that with activities and other things of that nature.
Mhm.
So that's my first piece of advice. My second
Well,
piece of
those-
advice is watch the substances.
Right. Well, though some people though use the opposite sex, or well, it doesn't have to be opposite sex, or partners as validation, confidence builders, as a whole lot. And
I think we all do that to a certain extent. Others maybe to a greater extent.
Right.
And so when you've lost that partner and that validation, then yes, it can even have a greater impact. One thing that I think is really ironic, I have a couple of men in mind when I make this statement, is, they're on marriage 3 or 4,
Mhm.
and we've covered present day issues and what's going on, and they're getting out of a marriage, they're in the process of getting divorced, and we've covered some early childhood stuff and relationships, and I look at them and say, and I almost, God, this is almost sadistic in my on my end, but I look at them and I get to say, so how many times have you married your mother? And they'll look at me and say, at least 3, maybe
Right.
all 4, but at least 3. And so thinking back to, why are my marriages dysfunctional? Who am I choosing as a partner? How do I end up in the loneliness of divorce? And how does that relate back to a greater schema, so to speak?
Right. Well, let's go back to dealing with the loneliness, though, and you have to use the 3-letter word that sounds dirty, but actually isn't. But sex.
Oh.
Do men and women use sex as a substance?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's
Just
probably
as powerful as
sex and
meth or
food.
anything else, right?
Oh, sex and food are the 2 most addictive substances out there because they hit the primal part of your brain. It's all about survival.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you
yeah,
feel
that's
have a
huge
better sense
deal.
of well-being.
And let me just say, sex is never about sex. Sex is always about meeting an emotional need. And so if we are extremely lonely post-divorce, that may be something that we end up falling back on.
Well, you want the intimacy, and
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
ultimate form of intimacy
Yes, everybody has a desire for that.
in a relationship. So.
Absolutely. Do you remember that song? Well, I'm sure you do because you're the radio man. But going through the Big D, and I don't mean Dallas.
Yeah, Mark Chestnut. sang
Yes.
that, yeah.
Boy, you're quick. Yes. Yes. She got the, no wait. I got the Jeep. She got the Palace. Yes.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about being left with vinyl flooring and still paying for it and all kinds of those things.
And then there was Jerry Reed's song, She Got the Gold Mine, I Got the Shaft.
Oh yeah. Oh
Remember
yes.
that?
Oh yes. Absolutely.
So there's a lot of resentment that can happen
There
in these
is. There is.
divorces
And so,
too.
so sometimes loneliness can morph into a lot of anger.
Resentment?
There's yes, resentment.
Hatred?
There's a whole lot of variables when
Hatred.
it comes to.
You can develop hatred in these things.
There's
No,
a
it's bad
whole
to hate.
lot of variables when it comes
It's bad
to
to hate
divorce.
anyone, though.
It is.
But
it is. It doesn't help you or
Do you want fries with that? Was another song. Have you heard that one from Tim
I
McGraw?
don't remember that one.
Where he's working the second job at the
Oh, to
drive-through.
pay for alimony?
Yeah, and
Yes.
they pull through the drive-through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that is exactly
it's
right.
obviously a big part of our culture because music has focused on it laughingly
my.
in almost every one of those situations.
Country music especially.
Every one of those
Yeah.
songs is humorous in a way.
Yes.
So-
yes. Well, it has to be. Otherwise, if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Gosh, I know. Now, Lauren is a licensed therapist here in Muskogee, and she would love to help you with issues. Going through divorce can be really rough, and I know that we're looking at some of the funnier sides of dealing with it, and there's a really lonely and a dark side to dealing with divorce and being alone after being connected with someone, or just that tearing apart of that intimacy that you had, that bond that you had with that person.
And I will say,
Hard.
for the impact of Corona, I think we've all agreed there's going to be a baby boom in 9 months, but I think
Oh,
there's
for
going to be a
sure.
divorce boom, too.
Probably already
I-
started.
It's probably already, as soon as the courthouse opened back up, I suspect.
Yeah, so I no
Numbers
longer
went
want to be
up.
with this person.
Yes, yes.
I don't
And-
even like this person.
And I will put the disclaimer out there that divorce is not my specialty, but I will help you find somebody who divorce is their specialty.
Right.
So just know that if you call me, that's going to be my immediate answer is it's not my specialty, but let me figure out who we can
But
send you
it's
to.
certainly an issue. Dealing
Oh,
with
certainly an
loneliness.
issue and plays a much, is a large piece of the puzzle for many.
There you go. How does someone reach out and find you?
918-912-2266.
One more time.
918-912-2266.
One more. I'm just
Nope,
kidding.
you're
I'm
just messing
kidding.
now.
I am Lauren Rich, our guest this morning, and Rich Consulting. And be sure to find her on social media or call that number. She's easy.
What was it again?
918-912-2266. Did I get it right?
Yeah. Yes, you
I
got
hope
it right.
I got it right.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Lauren Rich, our guest this morning on Okie Country 101.7. That was funny.